Hello there, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube, and welcome back to Team Fortress 2. It's been a couple of weeks since I've done a video of, well, TF2 in general, and half of that was mostly due to the fact that I was in the middle of doing another video series altogether, but also because TF2 had kind of become a little bit stale over time. A lot of the time, whenever I think about Team Fortress 2, I really love to play it with friends, and, well, just playing it by myself, while it can be fun once I really force myself to get into the game, it was getting a little bit boring just not having much of anything new. I mean, the previous update that we ever had, if you could even count it as like a substantial update in the first place, was the Smithmas one from 2014, and nobody really likes to talk about that one because it just balanced a whole bunch of weird things regarding the Demo Man, and the addition of the panic attack was not really a plus, in my opinion. But with all that aside, after a number of months, we have finally hit summer, and we've also gotten a TF2 update to boot, which was kind of predictable because TF2 traditionally kind of gets about 2 or 3 updates per year, sometimes 4 if you're lucky enough, and usually, if it's something relatively big, it can be pretty mixed with the community. Like, the last number of updates to TF2 have been extremely mixed with just the community in general. There are lots of decisions that people question about Valve and how they're trying to keep this game alive. Personally, I think this one is rather harmless, and I suppose I can only have half of an opinion on this because they did a whole bunch of balance changes to weapons. Some of them are actually on the properties of the Mafia heavy set, which I'm using right now. The Tomislav was just buffed to oblivion, where it now fires 20% faster and it has 20% extra accuracy, which pretty much gives the heavy a sniper rifle as a minigun. It's pretty great. But I haven't had a chance to review all of the weapons because that would just take a hell of a lot of time, and I don't think I'd be able to fit that in about a 15-minute video in the first place. So I'm gonna just leave that ambiguous at best. I'll check them out in due time and see how I feel about all the balance changes. But so far, I am liking this weapon due to the fact that not only did they add a new gameplay feature where you can pick up fallen weapons, I'll get into that in a second actually, but they also added new maps. One of the maps which I'm playing right now is Sweden, King of the Hill map, which was designed by members of the TF2 community. I have sorta played it before, I think on like a randomizer server a while ago, but oh my god, this map is beautiful. I mean, barring the fact that it requires a pretty high graphics settings, and especially when you're trying to record a demo, for instance, where if you don't have bloom to full, then it's just not going to load all the entities and it just looks like a bugged mess. But this map just reminds me of something straight out of like a Serious Sam game, and I absolutely love it. It's just such a beautiful looking map, and the way it plays too has probably become one of my favorite King of the Hill maps of all time, so I like it. I think it's pretty rad. Now, the second thing about the update was the fact that players on the enemy team will drop their weapons now, along with ammo boxes. The ammo boxes can be used to replenish ammo or metal supply, or even invisibility cloak if I recall correctly. And now, fallen weapons will do absolutely nothing, unless you're playing as the class of which the class who's, like, dropped their weapon is the same as you. So for instance, if I kill a soldier using a black box as a soldier myself who's using a regular rocket launcher, I can pick up that black box as long as he's had it equipped, and I could basically heal myself from that point. A lot of people have been making comparisons of this sort of gameplay style to Counter-Strike, but to be honest, I'm very indifferent to Counter-Strike, and I've never really held much of an interest in it in the first place, so I don't really care about the comparisons that people are making because that joke has just been done to death. If I'm honest, I see this gameplay feature as just being harmless at best. At least in casual TF2 play. I can't really speak much for competitive TF2 because apparently this is probably going to change a lot of aspects to that. Perhaps there might be a way to disable this feature so that way enemies either just drop ammo boxes, or perhaps they'll make an established rule so that you can't pick up fallen weapons from enemy players. I don't really know just yet. I don't know what they're going to do with this, and somebody might be able to enlighten me on it because I don't really have much of an interest in competitive TF2 as much as I don't have an interest in Counter-Strike in the first place. But yeah, if someone could maybe enlighten me on this, I would be highly appreciative. And I think we can just move on by saying, this is a pretty great update. Look, they even added Snowplow to the game. And Snowplow was originally left out of the end of the line update, which was one of the key assets, and Valve finally realizing that they did make a mistake in omitting it, as it is really, really good to see this map in the game once again. It's a really fun one to see actually available on Valve servers. It gives everyone a bit of a different style of experience with how payload maps work, especially because now this is probably the most unique one. I mean, previously, the only different thing about, say, Payload Frontier was the fact that the cart could eat you if you were standing in front of it and someone were pushing it. But with this map just adds a whole new mechanic, which really isn't all that confusing to follow, if I'm honest. And I'm sure a lot of people would agree with me on that, and that was one of the reasons, that was the reason as to why it was originally omitted from the official maps list in the game. But it doesn't matter now, because now it is available, and it is a super, super fun map to play, so I would recommend you go try it. There is also an official map by Valve named Powerhouse, and there is also a competitive payload custom map, which honestly, the name has slipped my mind right now, but you might see it on the video. I think it's called Borneo, actually. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Borneo. And yeah, just seeing new maps in this game too is just... it's really invigorated my interest in the game once more. I can safely say that this is probably one of the safest updates that Valve has added to the game. And of course, there are going to be bugs and a few odd things here or there, but those have been fixed in due time, actually. I just remember on the first day of the update, rocket jumping was extremely broken, and you could achieve some pretty crazy distance with them rocket jumps. And something about the Eternal Reward being completely broken, where it has to do with the whole weapon pickup system, but that's besides the point. It's been repaired now, and I can safely say, once again, this is just a solid update, and I'm really happy to see it. Now, the question of whether or not there are going to be new weapons eventually, well, a lot of people are still speculating about this whole spy versus engineer debacle. To be honest, I'm not really all that hyped for something which hasn't directly been confirmed, but competitive matchmaking is eventually going to be in the game because it was one of the few things that has been confirmed by Valve. I guess we'll just have to see in the future what it's going to be like. As for the time being, I'm going to enjoy this update, and I do like all the new maps that were added once again. So if there wasn't really much of a reason for you to get back into TF2, this is probably it. There's also a system where you could just go buy on the Manco store a couple of little, like, squads. They're sort of like tickets for MVM, except they give you certain missions of what to do with your class. Say as a soldier, it gives you a set amount of, like, little challenges, and I don't know, it's kind of like a new sort of achievement system, which I don't mind it at all. I do think it's a pretty good way of actually getting people interested in this game once again, because you're actually rewarded with weapon reskins, you know, paintable guns with clocks on them, as Magus the Bonehead would put it. My closing thoughts on this update are that it's pretty decent enough, and I do fully accept it as being in TF2 once again. I really do like what they've done so far with how the weapon system works, and having a couple balance changes, you know, keeps it fresh for me. I'm not sure about anyone else, but I appreciate it. So, thank you guys very much for watching. Have a great day or evening, and I guess I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.